Alrighty, guys, welcome to Male Talking Points. This is a story I found at lunch one day at work, and this one is wow. Bodybuilder Renee Campbell wants to change the view of what women should look like. So I guess this right here is what women should look like. Guys, when you were a young little boy and you were just starting to get your thoughts of girls that made you tingle downstairs, is this what you were picturing in your mind? It wasn't for me. Counterpointed by a number of striking tattoos, her body defined by muscle, she is a mother of two who embodies power and strength. Renee Campbell has dedicated most of her life to sculpting her once diminutive frame into one that she says goes completely against what society thinks a woman should look like. The bodybuilder's dedication has brought plenty of awards, but building her dream body, gaining over 85 pounds, going from a UK size 8 to 14, has had its challenges too, both physically and mentally. I bet. I was very insecure about my body image, very insecure about myself as a person, Campbell 44 tells CNN Sport from her home in Cornwall, UK, as she reflects on her motivation to transform herself. I was constantly feeling under pressure through the media that women needed to look a certain way. Well, it's kind of obvious by what she's saying that she's had some emotional trauma at some point in her life and feels that she needs to look like this. And I'm sorry, Renee, but most guys, there's probably some guys that would think that's hot. But the good majority of guys, you portray masculinity. Maybe a guy that's on the border of coming out of the closet gay, you might be the one step before he goes for a buff dude. I don't know, but I just know as a man, this is right here is not my ideal woman. I'm speaking probably for a good majority of guys. For quite some time, I struggled with the eating disorders because I was constantly trying to keep my weight really low to appear skinny like these women are on magazine covers. Then she attended a women's bodybuilding show and became intrigued by the way these seemingly confident women held themselves. And I'm curious to how many of these other women also have some kind of issue in their life. Where is her dad? I mean, though Campbell says she loves the way she looks now, she says she is sometimes treated with cruelty, like when she's been asked to leave a women's toilet. Now, okay, that is mean. I'm not saying I think she's attractive as a woman because she's got tattoos all over her and has muscles like a big dude. But it's one thing to have preferences, and it's another thing just to be completely an a-hole to someone. That wasn't cool. A lot of times you're up against a lot of negativity. People set in an old mindset, Campbell adds. I was up against, and still am, a lot of criticism from people who don't understand why women would want to be muscular, but it just gave me a sense of confidence and mental strength. Probably because, I don't think guys mind a woman who's in good shape. But when you go to this extreme, it's obviously like with the tattoos, the colored hair. You could tell she's had some emotional trauma in her life, and this is how she's venting it out, and she's still not getting 100% closure. for her mental situation is kind of what I'm getting off of this, because she says she's proud of, I mean, she's obviously did a lot of work to look like this, and if that's what she does to be happy, I mean, hey, she's done the work. It's kind of like Chris Cooper, do the work. Hey, she's done the work. But at the same time, she's obviously not 100% fulfilled with whatever she is trying to do to cope with her emotional hurt. I'm stuck in a situation where I have to prove that I am a woman in order to use these toilets. It's quite offensive. I do try to explain to them quite nicely, I may look this way, but at the end of the day, I am a woman. I have every right to use these toilets. Now, I am broadcasting from California, and pretty much now with transgender laws and stuff, most bathrooms are both men and women. A bathroom's a bathroom anymore. There isn't a men's room and a woman's bathroom. Now, you could tell the ones that were made to be men's bathrooms at one time because they got urinals. Moving on. Studying female bodybuilders. For over a decade, sociologist Dr. Tanya Bunsell has been researching female bodybuilders. When I would tell people that I was studying female bodybuilders, the first reaction was, that's just not attractive. Dr. Bunshaw, a lecturer in sport and exercise science at Canterbury Christ Church University, tells CNN Sport. There's definitely a glass ceiling on muscularity and the crossover boundary where the body becomes transgressive and integrates people's motions of male and female. That is true, because basically I think the only difference between a big bodybuilding woman like this and a man who's built like this transgendering to a woman, the only difference is how they're using the possible steroids or whatever to achieve that. To get a build like this, you're probably taking hormonal medicine that puts a lot of testosterone in her body. And that's becoming a dude. She may be a woman, but she's got a lot of testosterone. And most heterosexual guys, that's almost like being with a guy. It's almost borderline gay. And I'm not trying to shame her. That's what she claims that makes her happy. But just to, that would be like pudgy fat men declaring that pudgy fat men is the ideal of what a man should look like, and women should accept that. It's just not going to happen. And I think it's funny how this woman expects that out of men. The troublesome and disturbing body of hypermuscular women is deemed so outrageously deviant by society that it provokes harsh comments. Now, like I said, I live here in California. I've kind of been, everyone can do whatever they want. I believe in absolute freedom. I even believe that the sisterhood, women have all the rights in the world. But at the same time, the one thing that lacks is accountability. You can spend all the time making your body look like this, but there is going to be negative effects. Just like a girl who has a disorder who starves herself to death and looks like a little skeleton with skin on it. She's probably going to get told stuff that may not 100% be nice, but at the same time, it's people like, hey, you should eat, you look sick. Because that's true. Now, To tell this woman that she can't use a bathroom, yeah, that's an a-hole move. But to tell her that she's a beautiful feminine woman, this isn't femininity here. This is masculinity right here. So, I mean, I don't know what she expects. You made yourself into this, and that's what you are. You're a big, muscular, manly built woman. And most heterosexual men are not going to find that attractive. Even though there's a huge market encouraging women to build abs and tighten their figures, the ideal still stands for smaller waist, curvy hips, and lean legs, the so called hourglass figure. And yes, I can't help it, that is what is naturally ingrained into a man's mind. I mean, if you go through the psychology of both men and women, there's the alpha men. They are the desirable. They're the ones who will provide protection, go out and hunt the food. We live in a world that is man made. We have farmed, we have done everything where now we don't have to go out and hunt to get our lunch. You can go down to the supermarket, you can drive to Taco Bell. You don't have to worry about all the stuff people had to worry about 2,000 to 3,000 years ago. But the problem is we're still human. We are wired that way. Let's continue. The body becomes an amazing machine. When she started her bodybuilding career, Campbell says eating copious amounts of food was at first a shock to the body and mind. My body temperature went up, she says, saying that putting on weight initially scared her. I was feeling hot all the time because you're constantly eating, but once you get over that stage, the body becomes an amazing machine and it starts to take that fuel in. There's a very close relationship between passion, dedication, and obsession, says Campbell. You look at any athlete that has achieved great things, there has to be a certain level of obsession. A photograph of Campbell is currently featured in a 6-month exhibition in West London called Womanhood. Max Ellis, the photographer who took the portrait of Campbell, describes his subject as a work of art. She's worked her whole life to try to achieve this, Ellis said. If you are a woman and you're doing this bodybuilding, you are swimming upstream. You're fighting every known convention. Now it gets to the part right here. Steroids. But bodybuilding has a dark side, a long association with steroid use to help build muscle. Before she went into the World Championships, Renee had to do a drug test and pass the drug test. But a lot of these girls didn't pass. Wanda Tierney, chairman of the IFBB, tells CNN Sports. Campbell says it would be naive to think that the problem doesn't exist, but argues that steroids abuse happens in other sports and society too. Now, even if you're not taking steroids, there are still many, like ashwagandha, KSM 66 ashwagandha. There are substances that raise testosterone in your body. I know because I'm a man in my mid-40s, I take certain things to keep my T levels up. And the thing is testosterone in a woman goes against her estrogen. That's what makes a woman is estrogen. Testosterone makes a man a man. And when you start mixing it, you start getting to back to what I was saying about the transgenderness. The onus is the athletes to adhere to the rules and regulations set by their federation, Campbell says. My federation, the IFBB, is a signatory to the WADA code, and the IFBB anti-doping rules are in full compliance with the 2015 WADA code. As she reflected on her body's evolution, Campbell was keen to stress how bodybuilding had been accompanied by shift in her mental health. It was a big shift for me mentally because bodybuilding journey made me realize that I need to do things for myself. So basically, what she's saying is it was making her masculine. That's the end of the article. So, yeah, to get that figure, you're going to be pumping a lot of testosterone into your body. And in closing, I just obviously, this is a woman who's had some kind of distress in her life. Where is her father? I don't know why. Something has happened to her emotionally. And once again, getting and closing, getting back to this point, that's kind of dangerous for a guy to talk about. You know, it's one thing for a woman to talk about her feelings, but for a guy to kind of point out, hey, what's going on, you get called certain things by women for basically pointing that out. But unfortunately, I don't think that is ever really going to become mainstream for men. So anyway, guys, that is our article read. Put your comments below and tell me, do you think that's attractive? I mean, when you were a young boy and you started getting to the age where, every guy has his preferences. You might be a leg man, a butt man, a boob man, you know, you might like long hair. Maybe some of you out there dreamed of a big, muscular, manly build woman with blue, short hair and tattoos. So anyway, until next time, guys, this is Male Talking Points.